Grand Rising, my Ghetto-News participant. Today we are here with the Honorable Minister of Justice, Anna Richardson.
Hi, good morning. Good morning to your followers. It's a pleasure to finally be on your program.
It's a pleasure having you on my program.
Nice, thanks.
Yeah, I could only dream of this day.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, you're gonna make me blush.
I'd rather make you blush and get vexed or get upset, trust me.
Okay.
Okay, so today we're going to talk. I'm going to ask you a few questions.
Sure.
And I would also like you to, talk for the population and bring out some of the things that maybe we never know and we should know about you. So my first question, of course, would be, can you tell us who is Anna Richardson?
Oh, okay. So Anna is the daughter of Joycelyn Violet Gums. My father is, unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago. Well, I say a few, but it's more than 22 years ago. Still feels like yesterday, but his name was Richardson. I was born right here in Phillipsburg, St. Martin at St. Rose Hospital. As everybody knows, I just celebrated my birthday.
Yes.
I'm a mom of two teenage boys. One is 19, the other is 17. I'm divorced, single, and happy.
But you see, they gave me wrong information, so thank God I come here and talk to you for myself.
I'm presently the Minister of Justice. I acquired my college degree at Virginia State University. I have a degree in sociology with a concentration in criminal justice. So I am operating in my field of passion, of study, and it's really, really an honor to be doing this for my country.
Nice, nice. So what are the top priority for the country for the next 4 years if you get re-elected?
When I get elected?
Yeah, when you get re-elected.
Yes, I'm very confident that I have been able to be in service and do that quite professionally for our country. And I feel like the feedback that I've gotten from the public, it is a very positive one. A lot of people have seen that my approach to being able to address matters that has been pending for quite some time is my focus, along with my team, because you don't do this alone. Huh? These undertakings is not just one individual who is doing this alone. You have staff, you have individuals that are a part of what I call my team. We sit together and we look at what needs to be done for St. Martin and within the ministry itself. Quite specifically, if I were to hone in on my ministry, the Ministry of Justice, and yes, I do call it my ministry because I'm responsible for it. It's a ministry that had been neglected for quite some time. It is actually a ministry, from my understanding, that over the years when election was done and coalitions had to be formed, the Ministry of Justice is the absolute last ministry that anybody ever wanted. As a matter of fact, they would dismiss it because it was a ministry that had a lot of frustration, a lot of undone matters with it. And we could see from the moment I came into office, the staff, the personnel of the ministry brought that to the forefront, that frustration. Nevertheless, I'm someone who likes a challenge, and I don't have a problem with making decisions. So when it was proposed to me by the Prime Minister, at first, with all honesty, I was a little reluctant to take the position because I was raised in the US, born here in St. Martin, but at the age of 11, I went to the US with an aunt, and I went to junior high school, and college in the US. So even though I went to primary school here in St. Martin and I got basic Dutch was never really my strong language. So I was a little bit intimidated by how it would work for me with the language. But I'm also a woman of faith. I pray very deeply, and I took my request, my concern about it to God. A lot of people like to shun Jesus away, like to shun God away. They don't like to hear about that. But there are a lot of us who know that we don't exist without Him. So for me, it was about that divine connection to let me know if this is what I needed to do. And I got my confirmation. And I took up this task. And everything that I do, I make sure that I seek divine approval to proceed with it. Now, decisions that I make will not necessarily be approved or supported by everyone. If you make a decision on the left, the right is upset. We make a decision on the right, the left is upset. So you have to understand that the decisions you make must be decisions that are in alignment with the law, because that's your only safe space. So a lot of people at times would say, yeah, but you can't be so stringent on what the law says. You need to kind of allow yourself to have some flexibility. You have to be careful with that flexibility, because the moment that you give a soften on one side and you have someone else coming and they're going, yeah, but you did it for this person. And then it's like, it's being seen that what should have been a temporary address would then become the norm. And sometimes the norm plays against us and we don't see that. So my focus has been in this capacity to be able to see how we can bring St. Martin structurally back into alignment with the laws that were established for a reason. And how do you do that? You need your personnel to be able to be settled. You need your personnel to be content. They need to be proud of the ministry that they work for. And for a long time, the personnel of this ministry could not do that, because from 10-10-10 until 2021, when we finished at minimum the function book, which is just a book that describes your function and it has your scale attached to it, something that's very important, because anyone that is in service wants to know, who am I? Who am I to you? How am I in service to you? What is my value to you? The ability to have a job letter, that level of stability was lacking for them for a long time, but we have completed it. I say we as well, because yes, I am the minister, and it is under my leadership that we've been able to accomplish this, but it wasn't done alone. As minister, I really just want to be able to see this country really lift our standards to what we used to be, and I'm going to do that in this capacity as minister, or if depending on how the chips fall, if I have to do that as a parliamentarian, I'm ready to do that too.
Okay, you sound very confident. So what other opportunity are there for training and progress within the Justice Department?
I like that question a lot. So where Surama was in Colby? We've now cleaned down the property that was there, the structure, I should say, that was there, because it got damaged severely with the hurricane. But what we're busy doing right now, and within the next couple of weeks, we should see the tender published. We're looking for architectural companies to design for us our Law Enforcement Institute of St. Martin. So the Law Enforcement Institute of St. Martin is the school for all possible levels of study within justice. And what we want to be able to do is have an institution where the environment is of learning. It's a welcoming. It's not like just picking any location and having an instructor in front of you. The students and the officers who would be doing, let's say, refresher courses, they need to feel comfortable that the space they're in is one that allows them to be able to focus and gain that certification they need, whether it is to become a member of this ministry in whatever capacity, because the ministry is very large, or if you are an existing officer, ways to be able to build your service level so that you feel confident in executing your work. So we will have a shooting range, we will have a forensic lab, we will have classrooms, we'll have administrative offices. Recently, I think last evening, I was talking to an officer that said to me, Minister, maybe we should consider having an in-house garage, because it's quite expensive when we have to do it external, and then because there's such heavy wear and tear on the vehicles, it becomes repairs are needed quite often. And that in itself can bring opportunities for young men and women as well who would want to get into mechanic services, right? So I'm also here thinking, wow, I need to have a conversation with those who are helping us with the tender to incorporate perhaps a garage for the repairing of our vehicles within the Ministry of Justice as well. So we're busy with that, and that is great. Another thing that we're busy with is something called the recruitment guide. The recruitment guide is a very important piece for me to have published pretty soon. What we're doing is we want to be able to bring to the forefront, for anyone who's not yet in justice, all the departments that are in justice, and how can you pursue a career for that. So let's take, for example, you have the youth brigade. Youth Brigade is a very military type structure that is very close in alignment with law enforcement, but it's for youth. And they're doing a phenomenal job in trying to keep our youth on a straight line and get them into structure and discipline, etc. So if you're in school, it would be great for you or as a youth to join the Youth Brigade and start to get yourself introduced and familiar with habits and protocol, etc. within military and justice. But if you're older than that, then you can consider the VKS, because the VKS is also a very introductory and provides a lot of support to the Ministry of Justice, thanks to the VKS as well for their services. For that, they assist us with the police, they assist us with immigration, they assist us with the prison. But if they're able to grow their pool, then that we see as an opportunity for us to be able to pull from and give persons who would have gone through these two channels I just mentioned an opportunity to be in law enforcement. But law enforcement isn't just police. It is also customs, it is also prison, it is also Coast Guard, it is also immigration. And then you have sectors like the court system, the prosecution service, becoming a lawyer, probation department, court of guardianship. So we are a very large ministry with a lot of opportunities, right? And I'm sure I haven't actually given you all just yet. Financing is a challenge for us, if I may venture into just being totally honest about that. But we are finding ways to be able to increase the income that we generate as a ministry so we can afford to hire and pay who we have already and who we would like to welcome into this ministry.
Okay. Minister Anna Richardson, now that I have you here on Ghetto-News, I would like to know, what is your greatest accomplishment you have done while you have been in the ministry?
Yeah, thanks. I feel really proud about completing the function book for the Ministry of Justice. And within that mention of the function book, it's a complete package, right? That package has new salary scales for our police. That package has the police law, but it's not just reserved for police anymore. It's a law enforcement law that incorporates immigration, meaning the frontliners of the immigration department, not the administrative staff. It also includes our national detectives. We are working to see how we can incorporate the prison correction officers, because they are also responsible for carrying weapons. We want to be able to incorporate the customs department into this law as well, because they also have a very high risk and also carry weapons. But there's a distinction between our frontliners that carry weapons and then the office or the administrative staff. So in that distinction, you have that. But what I call the justice package that has all those things I just mentioned, there was the necessity to have the calculations done. The calculations is to understand what is the full debt that the country has for officers from the past, retroactive payments, as well as with the function book now and the scales that comes along with it comes salary requirements. So what does the country have to ensure it can pay going forward? Now, we've successfully completed this package, and it's important to understand that this did not exist from 10-10-10. So for all this time, when you hear the frustration of our justice workers, it's because year after year after year, circumstance after circumstance, whether government is in, then government fell, it was difficult for this to get done because it's a long legislative process. And from inception, although some persons may not have liked the way that I communicated it, as the first female minister of justice, we saw that no other minister, meaning the males, never experienced what I did as minister. Yeah, and so you have to also command that level of respect. Respect goes both ways. I want to respect you, you respect me, right? Yeah, I'm here and I came forward to be able to do the work, and I have with my team. But that was a rocky road, coming into this. And over the course of time, we've seen, temperaments settle and understanding. But I got it from from the beginning that there was a lot of promises that were given to the staff, and those promises never came to fruition. It never came through. So there was a lot of doubt that the staff came with. They had no trust, they had no belief that anything would be done. So one of the accomplishments that I'm very, very proud of is completing this. And here we are right now, where within this coming week, we look forward to the Minister of Finance telling us when the Parliament of St. Martin has given a date that the 2023 amended budget can be handled in Parliament. What does that mean? It means that the amended budget, which is also a legislation, and it had to go through the whole legislative process, it's an extensive one, has now been updated with over 6 million guilders identified for the justice workers that are entitled to it, right? That's a great achievement. Yes, Minister, my colleague, we've worked closely together, and his ministry, the Ministry of Justice and Finance, working closely together. So thanks to our ministries and our staff for that. He's going to Parliament, and once he gets that approved, we as Justice were simultaneously preparing to send our justice package to the governor, because he has to sign it. Yeah, it has the National Decree with General Measures, or referred to often as an LDHAM in Dutch, the acronym. It goes to the governor for him to sign that, along with enacting the function book. So once the function book is enacted, once the LDHAM is signed, then each employee of this ministry, and I'm talking almost 800 people, yeah, they are going to be getting their individualized national decrees, and that is powerful. It's powerful for them. Needing to get, many of them couldn't get loans at the bank, There are, and this is a very important point. So we know along the way there were persons who were, or there were moments where with the unions, they were charging, we need to get money, it's taking too long, you have to pay us, and so forth. And during Carnival, it was a case where the Council of Ministers made a decision to go ahead and make this payment, because, of course, the stance of the staff was, we're not going to work for Carnival if we don't get it, all right? The payment was done. But guess what happens in a few weeks? In a few weeks, those funds are done. And so the frustration starts to build again because it's taking too long. What has this minister done, though? This minister, and so you have politicians out here that are taking credit, yeah, I'm responsible for it, or you have supporters who are in the background dealing with individuals, I'm responsible for getting the money. But when the money is done, what happens? You see, this minister, Anna Elaine Richardson, is responsible for completing the function book package, the justice package. And now our officers, once they have their LBs in their hand, can get job letters, they could go to the bank, they could get loans like everybody else, they can build their lives. So what I'm providing is stability. And for me, that constitutes far greater than just being able to get short disbursements. And the thing is, with the covenant that we signed with the unions, what we are also committing to and have guaranteed for our staff is that on an annual basis, they will get disbursements. So in addition to getting your job letter and getting a loan to get whatever, you are guaranteed to receive annual payments that's coming to you for your retroactive payments. So the type of stability that we've put together cannot be matched.
Okay, I hear you. It's better to give them a long term, instead of just giving them what they want.
Peace.
That makes sense.
Not saying that what they received in between time wasn't helpful. I'm sure it was, because the cost of living on St. Martin is pretty high, and then for some of them too, the salaries that they had been receiving for so long were minimal, really and truly. If you look at the salary. So I understand that those injections were helpful, but my bigger picture for you or for the staff was to see to it that their legal status, their function book, their stability is in place.
Okay. So what are your hopes for the future of this country?
Yeah, thank you so much. One of the things that I am busy working with as well I had this year the second annual Anti-Counterfeit Conference. And the Anti-Counterfeit Conference, I'm hoping that the public gets to understand the importance of being able to be a destination, because that's what we are. Our one pillar economy is tourism.
Yes.
And so what you want is that when people hear of St. Martin, the least negative things, the better. So one of the things with St. Martin is that we have been labeled as one of the black market territories, which means that we don't sell authentic product. And that is not necessarily true in its entirety, but we do have a lot of fake brands on the island being sold. And when you have tourists coming to the island that is looking for experience, it's not just about the beaches, it's not just about the cuisines. They also want a shopping experience.
Yeah, handcraft and stuff.
Right, you know, handcraft is one that we don't have to worry about that not being authentic. You know, that is nice to take away too. But they also look for that shopping experience, be it, and it doesn't have to be luxury. It doesn't have to be name brand. But if they are going to spend their money on name brand, they want it to be authentic. They want it to be real. But also for us living here, you know, spraying perfume that is not manufactured correctly, that type of liquid absorbs into our pores, into our skin. We get ill and we have no idea how. The shirts that we're wearing, the pants, they are made with certain dyes. That's how they get the colors. If it is not manufactured authentically, those dyes will seep into our skin, right? When we perspire, etc., make us ill. If we're eating products that are not, or drinking alcohol, I don't know if you remember a few years ago, right here in the Caribbean, there was a particular island that had some tourists that had traveled. They drank alcohol and 10 of them died. Yes, I won't mention the territory at this moment because I'm sure that you have a great large platform and I wouldn't want to put a stain on any other territory. Right, but the reality is it can be Googled online and you can find it where it happened in the Caribbean.
But talking about that, the safety of the tourism, do you see yourself upgrading that, especially like on New Year's? When New Year's we notice a lot of millionaires come in, but they don't stay on St. Martin. They go to St. Bar's, they go to Angola.
Because it's all about the experience as well. Yeah. But if you're talking about safety and security, it is one of the top priorities of the ministry, and even KPSM. I want to say good morning to them also. Look, so at the end of the day, even though our ministry has expressed publicly their grievances to the personnel, I can assure you that they are committed. They are committed to the job that they signed up for. KPSM in particular, you will see them out. You will see the police. They're patrolling. They're doing what they need to do in the interest of that safety and security. They also have multidisciplinary approaches. So you'll see customs, police, immigration come together and they're working together. To be able to ensure that that level of safety and security is there. Now, the choice of millionaires, as you mentioned, coming to the island and going over to St. Bart's comes right back to what I was still talking about in terms of that overall experience. If we're not providing that shopping, that look, we were walking through doing canvassing as a party a couple of weeks ago in the Phillipsburg area, and one of the expressions of the residents of Phillipsburg is that they do not feel as a capital. Our capital looks clean, looks inviting. At night she's very quiet when she should be alive. So from the future, I would want to be able to see us do more to bring back that life into Phillipsburg. We see a lot of that life in Simpson Bay, which is great, but we can have it in both. Because as a small island, it'll be nice to know that Simpson Bay is jumping, but so is Phillipsburg. But Boardwalk, Front Street, just all of it. And safety and security is important as well, because they don't need to feel.
Millionaires love to feel safe.
They don't need to feel, but not even just the millionaires, us.
Us,
us.
But I mostly say they because they know what they value, what they have. Sometimes they're rolling with a Rolex, cost $100,000.
This is true. Everyone should be able to feel safe and enjoy themselves on the island. So we want to, as a ministry, we know we need to grow in our numbers, and we're working towards that. But as I mentioned before, finances are at times a challenge, but we are working on products to be able to increase that so that we can afford what we need to. But safety and security is a top priority of the Ministry of Justice.
Okay. Violence against women is still a major issue on St. Martin. What do you believe is the solution to get the resolved and under control, as the trend is alarming?
Yeah. So thank you for that question. So we are in November, and from November 1st until December 16th, the Ministry of Justice over the last, or since within my tenure, has brought awareness and continues to bring awareness to this particular subject matter. Because we want to see the eradication of domestic violence as well as gender-based violence. Because keep in mind, you mentioned women, but men are also experiencing abuse. Children are experiencing abuse, and we want that eradicated. How do we do that? So it takes a village to be able to do this. We need to love and respect one another. And that is one of the issues that I find as a community that we have drawn back from. A lot of persons are very critical, and they're very critical with social media. They aren't necessarily applying themselves, as far as I can see, more to help situation, but the moment that something negative happens, we can see all the keyboard champions carrying on. But if you were to ask them, well, what did you do today to be able to help a situation, it's very silent. Everything is laid on government to do, but I believe we have a lot of non-profit organizations on the island, like Voices, Safe Haven, Women's Desk, and there's quite a few within our community that is doing their best to be able to provide that level of safety and security. Prominent Women is also another platform that does a lot about awareness. But what it is that we have to realize that a lot of people within our community are traumatized from children, whether it's a case that they were abused themselves or they witness abuse. And that trend of behavior just trickles on, yeah? There's anger within children. Even the display of our kids right now with all of these fights that is going on, it's a cry for help. Be it that they are experiencing this abuse in their households, and now they're coming and they're projecting it onto the pupils in the school, their peers in school, or it's a case that they're doing it for social media. So there are these platforms where they can load these fights, and then they want to see how many people will love on it, like on it, share it, comment on it, and then they feel a sense of value. So we need to be able to tap into what are the driving forces that contributes to violence against humans, anything living, because people who abuse usually start off by abusing animals as well, and animals are life. So we need to be able to not laugh at those things. There's nothing comical about it. We need to find ways to be able to support our people. And if you have a friend who is abusive to their children, abusive to their partner, you should be able to stand up and protect that individual and tell the other one that you need to get help. You need, and that's a taboo thing within the Caribbean as well, getting help. So I ain't crazy. I don't need to see a shrink. I don't need to see a psychologist. And it's not about being crazy. It's about dealing with your traumas. It's about dealing with what it is that triggers you, that makes you believe that the way to deal with a situation is to get violent, is to get physically violent. And so we want to be able to bring that sort of awareness to the forefront. I believe that more of our males in our community need to be more honest about what they're going through. And last evening I attended Men's Mental Health Foundation Suit and Tie 3rd annual dinner dance. And the purpose for that, good morning to Mr. Ahmad, or Ami Gums. He is the one that has launched Men's Mental Health Awareness Foundation, because he sees how important it is that within our community, this taboo where men feel like as though they're not supposed to cry, they're not supposed to express their emotions. They believe that if they're in a relationship with someone, they have to control them. And that could never bring anything healthy for either side, yeah? So we are looking for ways to be able to address that. But then when the actual attacks take place, then that's where the law has to come in. And I believe that it's important for our laws to become a little bit more stringent in dealing with individuals who, no matter what, services and support is provided to them, they are adamant, and that could be a personality disorder, because we at times don't recognize the narcissistic personality disorder. That brain thinks totally different than a normal person. They see life totally different. I'm not a doctor or anything, but I'm just speaking from personal experience as well, in dealing with persons with such personality disorder, that they just don't see this life through the same eyes that we do. So their rationale about circumstances and situations is just never fair. Yeah, they always see life as persons are being disrespectful, but they don't see that they are being disrespectful. Or it's a matter of controlling people around them. Do as I say, don't do as I do. And that's like almost like, you know, your parents used to say that to you. But if two people are in a relationship, or you have two siblings, or you even have parents and children, but we're talking adult parents and adult children, parents with adult children, they would still want that level of control, and you would have that adult who is being treated that way by their parent treating their other person, or you know, whomever it is that is receiving it from, you know, negatively on the other end. So this discussion could go on for a long time, because there's so many different layers and tiers to abuse, and people who administer it as well as those who receive it, and their, you know, the trauma can just live on.
Okay. Are there any initiative to enhance access to legal aid for people that do not have the means to afford legal representation?
We already have that. So through the Ministry of VSA, which is Social Services, you can visit them and you can request to have legal aid.
Okay.
Yeah.
There were a bunch of rumors planned for the police that were never enhanced. Are there any plans with the ministry to implement any of those recommendations or those charges? Will the police receive their long-awaited payment before the end of the year?
Before the end of the year, what we will see is, and I was talking about that in the beginning with the package, you know, the package and the fact that we're awaiting for the budget to be passed in Parliament. That's what I was covering. What's going to happen is, once the governor signs off on, so the budget gets approved, the governor signs the package, and then those individual LBAs or national decrees will be disbursed, and it's for all within the Ministry of Justice, not just the police officers. So we will be seeing where they will start to receive their national decrees, and attached to the national decrees there are payments. So we're pushing very hard. When we say at the end of the year, I want to be careful with that, because there's absolutely no way we will be able to do almost 800 people before the end of the year. But I think that once we start to get those national decrees moving and those advice moving, we will see some payments before the year is out, but it will not be everyone.
Okay.
Yeah. And that will roll into next year, right? It won't stop. We will continue with it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
How do you plan to address the issue if inquiry in the country?
What do you mean? The issue, which issue?
Inequality.
Inequality.
Inequality. Yeah.
Okay, inequality.
Have some words of
yeah, that's fine. So, you know, people has said to me, like, listen, do you feel like because you're the minister, you're a female, right? You're a female, and do you feel like because you're a female, you have been experiencing a different approach from the staff than your predecessors? And I can say yes. I can say as a female, though it hasn't fazed me, because like I said, I'm going to stand my ground. I'm going to work professionally. I'm going to do it according to the way it is outlined and structured by law. I recognize that it is a long legislative or long legal process. Nevertheless, the objective is we have to go through this process in order for it to be sound in the end, and that is my goal. is it a case that I find a lot more men get positions than women? Not necessarily. But there is a case where the experience for a woman in a position that is predominantly held by men, you feel it, you see it, at least in my capacity here. So I'm hoping that, me becoming the first female Minister of Justice will make a lot of our young women as well know that there are no limits to what they can do. We would also see that once upon a time this ministry was one that everybody ran to. Now I see a whole lot of politicians that are coming out the woodworks wanting to be the Minister of Justice, and so I feel good about the fact that they can now see the light that this is a very strong, powerful, capable, dynamic ministry that has a lot of great people within it, that has put their lives on the front line to be able to serve and protect St. Martin. But ultimately, as minister, I have a lot of things in the pipeline, so I would want to continue in this capacity. I'm just going to put that out there, and I will be speaking of that on my campaign trail. By no means necessary do I want to give up this ministry at this time. But we would have to see, our history has been one where coalitions are formed, discussions are had. We'll see how the chips fall. But ultimately, I would love to continue as the Minister of Justice.
Okay, Minister, sorry. Seeing that we don't have much time, I just want to ask you two more questions really quick and see if you can answer me short. What advice would you give to the young people who are interested in pursuing a career in police?
Okay, specifically police or the ministry? Police. The police departments can be contacted for you to engage in discussions with them. I know Chief John is one who is very enthusiastic about the youth. We would like to see our youth come into this ministry on the positive side, as opposed to getting themselves in trouble and coming in on the other side. So you can always visit the police station and inquire with them. We welcome it. We are in need of more police personnel, so we will not shun that away. But I would say to them that they should do research and start to find ways to be able to get themselves in understanding, because becoming a police officer or any service line within the Ministry of Justice is not about just getting a job. You have to have that level of mental commitment to want to be in a function such as law enforcement.
Okay. Last question but not least.
Okay.
This one, I wanted to give it a power shot.
Oh, okay.
Could you state any project that you were able to accomplish that no other minister was able to accomplish?
Was able to accomplish the function book.
Function book.
I mean, we're 13 years since we became a separate status, yeah, and we're now at the finish line to be able to have this done. So, I mean, that's a decade plus of an assignment of a project that was not accomplished by anyone before me. And here we are at the finish line for the Ministry of Justice. And of course, my focus is not just about the personnel, but we need the personnel to be able to provide that safety and security that the community needs. So the community might say, well, oh, she talked a lot about, the personnel and the function book, etc. But I needed to be understood that the structure of this ministry is first foremost important in order for our staff to have that sound mind, that committed spirit to be able to serve and protect the community of St. Martin.
Thank you very much, Minister Anna Richardson.
Thank you
It was my pleasure spending this time with you. And I must say, the first day I have ever saw you, I fell in love with you.
Oh, wow.
And now meeting you,
okay.
It was my pleasure. I know you have a very important, responsibility.
Yes.
And now that I get this chance, I can feel you now, because just staying on the side and hearing people saying things, sometimes you want to follow them and you don't know. But
yeah, be careful jumping on bandwagons, and we tend to do that a lot in St. Martin. When we put out something positive, it rarely gets any shares, any likes. People don't even read. The moment you hear something negative, everyone just jumps on and commenting.
I am proof of that.
Yeah.
If I go out and I do something positive, I wouldn't get much likes and views. But the minute I bring up a melee or talk about a loud person up there, I get views on top of views. But I decided to stay positive
Yeah,
because
congratulations to you.
Thank you,
I really
thank you.
appreciate that.
Thank
yeah,
you.
we need more of that. That's in
yes,
our community.
And I really like the project you talk about, the youth
Brigade.
the youth brigade, because I was in the military, because that's what I turned to, and a lot of youths out there, they're looking places to turn to.
Exactly. We have some projects in the pipeline with the Youth Brigade as well. We'll hopefully in the near future we'll be able to announce those. But we are working to expand the reach of the Youth Brigade because our youth need it.
That will be very great for St. Martin, and I hope I could be a part of it because discipline is very good and needed.
Exactly.
Okay, Minister.
Good. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you. Bye.